let's stay on the topic for a moment more. Niall Stanage, White House columnist for our partners at The Hill, is with us. Niall, good morning to you. Beginning with Tulsi Gabbard, does she have the biggest uphill climb of the three hearings this week that we're closely watching?
She does, in my view, Marni, politically speaking. And it's because of one of the issues that Alina noted in her report. Tulsi Gabbard, unlike the other nominees, is likely to elicit some resistance from Republicans. She is, of course, herself a former Democratic congresswoman. She has views about foreign policy that are not really in the Republican mainstream tradition. And that meeting with Bashar al-Assad would obviously be the prime example of that. She is also alleged by her critics to have echoed Vladimir Putin's talking points in relation to the war in Ukraine. So the other two are controversial for their own reasons. But Gabbard, I think there's a bigger danger of Republicans splitting off and opposing her. And that of course, is the ballgame.
Which is why we'll be closely watching how she frames her responses to those criticisms. What do you anticipate, and what has she said publicly so far on some of these matters?
So in terms of, for example, the Ukraine war, she has pushed back quite heavily against the idea that she's in any way a mouthpiece for Vladimir Putin. In relation to Assad, that is a more difficult question, I think, for her to get around. And certainly we hear that in some of the private meetings with Republican senators, they weren't totally won over by her in that regard. It is worth maybe mentioning, Marni, that she has moved away from some of her previous positions on the topic of government surveillance broadly. She had been very critical of some of the foreign surveillance powers that the intelligence services have here in the US. She has softened that position quite significantly, presumably in a bid to shore up Republican support.
All right. Again, her hearing on Thursday. Meantime, we've got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He'll face senators on Wednesday and Thursday this week. Who among the GOP senators right now, Niall, are his toughest critics?
Well, I would say by implication, at least, Senator Mitch McConnell is very critical of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And there is a reason to do with McConnell's personal history there, which is that Mitch McConnell is, of course, a polio survivor, and polio was an enormous scourge in this country and around the world until there was a heroic effort that created the polio vaccine. So McConnell has some concerns there, I think. But the other senator to keep a close eye on with regards to Kennedy is Senator Cassidy of Louisiana, who is a physician and is perceived to have some skepticism around Kennedy's views of vaccines and public health generally.
And what has he said to clarify those views? And is this his opportunity to do so, not just for the senators who are casting their votes, but for the American public who have concerns?
So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has pushed back against the idea that he is anti-vaccine. He contends that what he wants is vaccines to be more rigorously tested. He argues that some of the claims made on behalf of vaccines have been exaggerated. So he is really shoring up his position in that respect, as well as emphasizing some of the beliefs he has that I think are more widely shared even among quite a few liberal Americans. For example, his opposition to so many additives being present in American food. That's really quite a popular position, whereas his position on vaccines, however you characterize it, is much more controversial.
A former Democrat turned independent, now nominated for Trump's cabinet in a Republican administration. Is there any chance he gets any Democratic support this week?
I can't answer that with absolute certainty, Marni. I would personally be surprised if he does, because I think the vaccine topic is so toxic to Democrats. But he does have these views that are, as I say, earn more sympathy from liberal Americans. I just think that in such a polarized time, difficult to see him getting maybe more than one or two Democratic votes.
Yeah, well, thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.